Okay, so we are recording and we're going. So when we're going through our 4 pillars of soccer, it's the same as the goalkeeping. We speak about that when we, as coaches, when we talk about having the qualities of the elite goalkeeper, it's making sure that all 4 of those pillars are always intact. They're at almost mastery, what they call basically you're able to do each one of them well. So you have your technical, your tactical, your physical, and your mental. So this is huge for me, for more than anything, especially for our academy, because those of you that don't know, my background is I'm in a kinesiology degree with a psychology minor, and I have a teaching credential with adults with disabilities and youth with disabilities. So now you guys know why I'm so patient with some of you, because I'm used to it. But when we talk about the elite goalkeepers, or just the elite person in general, a lot of the items that we need to understand, and you'll understand this too, hopefully, as we get through this, is even being our whole person athlete. And that's what we're going to look into, having our body, our mind. Hopefully you can see that. Can you guys see that below, or do I have to hide this? Let me hide that for you. Okay. Our heart and our spirit. So that's kind of what we talk about as a whole person athlete, and it ties in with the 4 pillars of soccer we talk about. So body, obviously, making sure that we're physically fit. We're making sure that we can prevent our injuries, and that's why we're doing this. If we do have to rehab them, we're doing it correctly. We're making sure that we take care of our body by eating correctly, our nutrition. Once again, that's why we're doing it. Our mind, and that's what we're having tonight, is we'll have Madison come in and have more of a understanding our mind and what it means as a athlete, not just as a goalkeeper, but as an athlete, where we need to put ourselves and be able to function. Our heart mainly is just our true passion. Okay, right? So that's where our passion lives. That's where you don't wait around, you go for it. So if you have that passion that you want to be an elite goalkeeper or an elite athlete, then that's kind of where the heart comes from, is making sure that you're not waiting around for others. You should be out there training on your own, doing whatever you can to be better and be just that much better than your competitor. And then our last thing, the spirit. That's basically our conscience. If you guys understand what the conscience is, you ever heard of that? It's kind of like the inner compass. It's your values, your beliefs, and that ties everything together, because am I able to motivate myself? Do I have the belief system intact that I take care of myself and others, and so that I could fulfill everything through the heart, mind, and body? So it's kind of everything's going to go in together, and everything will work as a nucleus as we get into the 4 pillars of soccer. So the wholeness of a person actually goes into the exact same thing as the pillars of how the building blocks of soccer: the technical, the tactical, the physical, and the mental. Right. So those of you that train with me, or those of you that have been into the classes, we speak about these a lot. Those of you that have we've done the Zoom a few weeks ago, I think we still always touch on this. For Southern California School Goalkeeping, the SCSG, this is our philosophy. We push the 4 pillars huge. We want to make sure that we're always talking about it in the class, in group trainings. When you guys know, if I come out and do any game assessments on you, I show it and I break down how you're doing at those 4 compartments. When we do, any of you that have one-on-one evaluations with me get to see that we break down these 4 compartments to see if we can make it into a whole. So, and that's kind of why, for me, as my academy, that's why I'm different from most. We are a fully functional school, so we understand the methods of teaching, learning, and not just showing you guys how to do it. So it's kind of making sure you understand that there's more to this position than just saving them a shot. And obviously, we always the communication. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. But and that's why I decided to, for my part, is to speak on penalty kicks, because realistically, it takes all of those components when we're having to deal with penalty kicks. Technically, we better be able to save a shot. Tactically, we're going to have to read it, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight. Physically, we better have the strength to get from one side to the other, to the stepping, the pushing, the power behind our hands to save a shot that's only 12 yards from us. And then the mental, because it's very strenuous. It could be some of us love it, some of us hate it, some of us have a mental breakdown. So it breaks it down, and that's why I decided to use the penalty kicks as we're going to do all this, because I think it'll help. Do we lose somebody? No. Okay. So what we are going to talk about and make sure just so it's understood, is that when we do get into more of the penalty kicks, I want to really touch on more of the shootout itself and not just the one individual penalty kick that might occur during the game. Because when there's the penalty kick during the game, you're going to bring in the best kid that could hit a ball. They're going to be tricky. They're going to be able to wait for you to show your cards, as they say, and they're going to be able to play it where you're not, or trick you enough where you're standing and you can't move. So the true specialist of the P-kick taker, we're not going to really talk about that because they are very hard to read. We will discuss it a little bit, but for the most part, it's very hard to read just that one shot. We could have the clues, what we'll talk about, but like I said, this is going to be more about the penalty kick shootout with basically all 5 shots. So we talked about technical and tactical. It's going to be the specifics. Physical, we talked about the mental side of it, and we're only going to touch on this because, like I said, Madison is going to kind of talk as a goalkeeping part, but because she was a goalkeeper at one point of her life, she could tie this in if she needs to and explain little things on how we feel as we go into dealing with the penalty kick shootout. Because when we talk about all the mental, psychological side of it, everything that you're reading here is pretty much exactly what we have to deal with when we're in the shootout. Right? We have to be positive. We have to make sure everyone knows that we're confident that we're not going to fail. We have to show that mental toughness is there. We're going to be concentrated like no other because we're going to be reading those clues, and we better enjoy it. If you don't enjoy the penalty kicks, then it's going to be a rough road for you, because that's the bravery. You have nothing to lose. It's all about the shooter. The shooter better score. But if we could block at least a few, then we win, or we should win, unless our team can't shoot, right? So the last part of it, we just talked about the emotional side of it. So, and then again, this ties into our penalty kicks, right? So are we able to have that switch where right when it's our turn to step in, everybody's watching us? Are we able to talk to ourselves? Are we able to clear our mind? Are we able to relax? And do we have that poise and that mentality to just hone in on what's going to happen? Myself and the shooter, yourself and the shooter, and read what we're going to learn with the clues so we could do it. Making sure, again, when we're doing the penalty kicks, things are going to happen. You're going to look possibly even dumb, that you're not even going to move. You might dive one way, they look the other way. Oh, well, how you had a mistake. You might have dove and it went right under your hand because you dove a little bit too high. It might have touched you. It might have went through your legs if you dove in the air. It's one of those things that it is what it is. You got to handle it, recover from it quickly, believe in yourself, and just know that you'll get the other one. You only need to get one, right? There's only, as long as you save one, by theory, you would hope that we have a better chance to win. And just that peace of mind, just those of us that I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Happy Gilmore, a little oldish movie, but it was a Adam Sandler movie, but they had a little talk with him and just find that happy place. It was kind of obviously a funny movie, but it's the truth of, can you find the happy place within you when you're about to step into this pressure cooker, as they call it, and just be able to just find something that makes you believe in yourself, makes you have joy, and then gets to the point where you're ready. So you just need to have that peace of mind. So as we go through the penalty kicks that we started, I just wanted to at least quickly go over the 4 pillars of goalkeeping again, but now how it relates almost to the penalty kick itself. So, and it's going to definitely tie into what our 2 other presenters are talking about today a little bit. So we just have a little quote. I wish I could say someone taught me my mental toughness. It would have been a lot less painful. So basically, something that you can't always learn. It's just those trial and errors. You go in, something happens, you lose, you get embarrassed, you get injured, whatever it is. How are you able to bounce back and be stronger so that next time you're able to save that one shot or save the 2 shots or whatever it needs to do. So it's just kind of a little quote, my little quote we've done. So the lifestyle, this goes into more of the athletic training that we'll have Albert be talking about. So more of the care of your body, your nutrition, all that stuff, switching it on and off. That's more of the psychological side. All this continues to tie in. It just penalty kicks, and that's obviously going to tie into everything we do as goalkeepers. But for tonight, it ties into the penalty kicks. If you win without sacrifice, you may enjoy it, but it may be more satisfying. We have struggled to get there. So again, some people they're lucky that you just get on the team and you just win, and you just continue to flourish. But most of us have to go through the ups and downs, and without that sacrifice. And for us as goalkeepers, us messing up and getting scored on is how we actually do get better, and how do we learn each individual scenario so that it doesn't happen the next time. So it's just another quote. I'm all about the quotes these last couple months, so I had to put my 2 quotes in today. Okay, we are ready. So as we go through the tactical the clues during a PK shootout, right? First off, hopefully we know the rules are constantly changing. Like, it seems like every year they want us to stand on a line, we can move, but we can't move off our line. Then we can't move, and now we could put a foot off our line. And NCAA just created a proposal that the goalkeeper, you can't touch the net anymore. You won't be able to touch the post. You can't hang on the post. You can't go kick the post. Nothing before the shot, or else it'll be a yellow card. So they continue to make our job even harder than it was to save a penalty kick. And so right now we have the rule where we must have at least one part of our foot on the goal line, right? Oh, we got a little typo. Until the ball is kicked. So that means either the back of your heel could be touching the white paint and you're fine. The other foot could be off the line if you want it to be. I think it's still a little odd to do that, but if you're on the step, then you can take that step in the direction of the dive and take off. But you got to be careful that the other foot doesn't go too early, or else the ref, if they feel you left early, then they will retake it if you block the shot, or if they missed. If obviously it goes in, then it's not going to be a retake. And then during the PK shootout, once the ball is saved, then there's nobody else can touch it. It's dead. Whereas obviously in the actual PK in the game, if you save it, you better get up, because they could rebound it and put it right back in. So just so we have an idea of the rule is always changing, making sure that you're always up and understanding that. Make sure you definitely do know, because some referees will tell us to get on the line, and we don't need to be totally on the line as long as any part of our body is touching the line or our foot. So if the back of our cleat is on the tip of the line, that's all we need to be. So some refs will make you try to stand totally on it, just so you know the rules. Make sure you step off of it. So as we go through, we're gonna put these kind of in the context of the clues. So these clues, I'll tell you right now, it's not totally scientific. There's not 100% chance that just because we are learning these clues that they're going to work. And that's why we're talking about this in more of the actual 5 shooters instead of just the 1 shooter. So I'll preface that we'll speak on that now, is just that we spoke a little bit about the 1 shooter, how tricky they are. What we're going to say by learning these clues, these cues, that when there's 5 shooters that you're going to deal with, you're hoping that at least 1 or 2 of those do the cue, and they aren't tricky, and they just go in and just hit it like they're supposed to hit it. And if they show those clues, we read it. Can we dive in that direction as the ball's hit, or right before the ball's hit, and make the save? So But it is a little bit tricky. It's not like I'm giving these huge secrets tonight and you're going to be able to go save shots. So you actually still have to look at their body, look at their stance, look at their run. So the early clue, the pre-run. So basically when the ball is set, they've stepped back, the referee makes sure we're both ready and blows the whistle. At that point in time, right before the whistle's even blown, if the kicker, and we'll show videos and we'll show slides, so you'll hear it here, and then hopefully I'll be able to show it and you get to see it a little bit and understand better. That if the kicker is straight out from the ball, so he's pretty much, he or she is just straight on, so as they run back to it, it's straight or slightly off-centered one way or the other, depending on which foot to shoot with. They're most likely to shoot the ball to the side of their natural swing, which means if you are going to kick it right-footed, you will actually kick and your natural swing will shoot to the left, the shooter's left, which would be our goalkeeper's right. But for this, we're saying the shooter, so just don't get confused. The natural shot would be to the left or right down the middle, because that's, if they want to just hit down the middle, it's just the power. So that's where all the power will come from, if that natural swing. If they're left-footed, again, then that natural shot will go to their right from a left-footer, or else go straight down the middle. It's just the swing, that's the most power, and that's where it'll go if they keep the run straight. And if they start straight, then they're more likely not to do. And again, this is the pre-run. So we're going to go into in the run, and then as the ball is about to be hit, there's 3 different clues that you're going to actually have to decipher from. If the kicker takes more of a wide or bent starting position, then the early clue will tell us that they are shooting to their right if they're right-footed, because they'll be pushing more, or to their left if they're left-footed, because they'll be pushing the ball toward the left. If they're very slight from left or right position, then you must wait and see until the next clue. So if you can't tell because they're a little bit off-centered, but not totally in the middle, but not totally bent, then we might have to wait and see what it looks like as it goes further down. We might have to actually wait for the run. So at this point in time, you see somebody that's straight on. So as we look at our little cue, if we see somebody that's coming from it straight on, he's right-footed, she's right-footed, then they're more apt to go to the shooter's left or right down the middle. And so if it's that straight on approach, that's that natural swing, that's where they're going to go. Again, of the 5 people, who's not all of them are going to be tricky. There are going to be the specialists that could trick you at the last second and open the hips, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what we're saying again is that when we see that early clue, if nothing else we see and they keep running straight, at least we have a fighting chance that if once they're about to shoot, we can take that step and dive towards our right, the shooter's left. And then if it was a left footer, obviously it would be the opposite way. If he or she's going to the left, they're hitting it to the shooter's right, goalkeeper's left. So straight on runs, that's what it should be. It should look like. So, and then we talked about a little bit more of the bent approach. So they're off center of the ball. Their hips are actually pointing in this picture towards the right post from the shooter. And so now you can see that if the shooter continues that run straight and keeps their hips pointing at that post, then it's more likely than not that they're going to go to the right, the shooter's right. So they've opened up their hips. You can see it by where they're standing right now before they've even ran. And if they continue that run and the hips stay open, you know for a fact that they're going that way. Unless, again, they're too tricky, and we'll talk about that as they go. And then, obviously, on the opposite side, same thing, but just left footer, right? So you just be able to turn and then push it to the left. Once the run starts, so we kind of think we have an idea of where they're going, but once the run starts, if the kicker takes a wider bent starting position, like we showed in that last one, then the early clue was that they're going to shoot to their right if it's right-footed and left if it's left-footed. However, once they begin their approach, if they become a bit more into a straighter angle, like they don't stay bent, their hips are no longer opened up like we talked about on that last slide. If they actually turn and face more of you as the goalkeeper, then they're going back to what we talked about earlier, that natural swing. They're going to be hitting it to their natural swing. So we'll show the clips again, or the slides before the clips. And if they are very slight off left or right position, then once again, you have to wait until you see the last possible set of clues that we'll talk about. So just so we understand again, and we'll show it, but we'll talk about it, is that now, let's say they started that bent run, but as they start running, they're getting a lot more straight, and almost to the point as they're getting close to contact with the ball, they're straightened up and looking almost at us. Their hips are square to us again. So now you're looking at that natural shot going to shooter's left or the goalkeeper's right. And then obviously the opposite way with the left footer. If he or she has that bent approach, but as they get closer to the ball, they become straight and their hips are straight on. Now it looks like they're going to, more than likely, they're going to swing it to the natural swing. And on the left footer, they're going to hit it to their right side, our left. Any questions right now? We're good? Good. We move on. So when they're about to shoot, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So we talked about that if we're not certain as which way the clue's going, maybe they are a little bit off center, left or right, so we can't really tell, or they've changed their approach right before the shot. Then that's when we look at the very last clue. And the very last clue, which a lot of people will tell you, and that's what you'll hear, is the hips, right? The hips and the shooting leg, the hips don't lie, okay? You can't hide it. Once you open up the hips, you know you're pushing the ball to that shooting side. If the hips stay towards us, they're swinging it. Hard thing, though, to realize on that is if you're going to watch that last clue of the hips, everything happens so quick, it might be too late. But again, that would be our very last clue, right as they're swinging, their motions are swinging. You can see the hips are open or the hips are squared. At that point in time, if you practice it enough and it actually can compute in your head that quickly that you can see it and take off, then again, you might have that fighting chance that you read the PK, you went for it. And we reiterate the whole time is this is 5 people. So you thought you saw it. You saw that they're at the last seconds, their hips showed open wide, and you dove that way, but maybe he or she's very tricky and they're still able to turn the hips but push the ball with their foot. Or if you watch the pros, you'll see that they do that a lot more now, where they open up the hips, they run, and as they're about to hit it, they see the keeper dive, and now they just push with their foot slowly right down the middle or a little bit off-centered so that they score. And again, we're saying that we're not at that level. Most of the people playing to shoot these penalty kicks are not going to all be at that level. You're going to have 5 people, and not all 5 of them are that tricky. So we're trying to hope, can we at least be able to save 1? So just so we understand and see it. So again, if he or she has that bent run, at that point in time, you really don't know where they're going to go. If they get a little bit closer to the ball, but they still have that bent to it, you really still can't tell. That's why if you see both sides are shaded, they at that point could still go left or right. If they get a little bit more squared and they keep their hips towards us, at that last clue, more than likely they're either hitting it right at us or they're hitting it to their left, our right. If they continue as they run and they're opening their hips and they stay open, then more times than not, they are going to push it to our right, or to your right, sorry, to the kicker's right, to our left. So the clues, although that they, hopefully, as we start to have an idea about them and understand what they mean, and I'll send you guys the slides later in the handout so you can actually see it. But it does give us a point that possibly in the penalty kick shootout, and that's obviously that we would do the left or right footed. In the penalty kick shootout, can we actually tell where they're going to go? Because somebody is going to do the clue. Somebody's going to show their cue, and we're going to dive because we saw it, and we're going to make the save, and we're hopefully a hero at that point. And that's all we can do. So we're just going to watch a few of the clips so you can see them. Sometimes I'm going to stop it. I might rewind it or start and stop so we see. Again, hopefully none of your families are watching too much Amazon or Netflix so that you could see the video. If they are, then when you'll be able to see it when I send you the presentation once recorded. But so on the first one, as you can see on this part, he's straight up. He's going to run straight onto it. So the early clue at this point in time is we see that he looks like he's going to go straight. So if he went and stayed straight, his natural shot will be to his left, goalkeeper's right. So they're going to hit that way. So it would be going in more into this area. If as he approaches the ball and you see that his hips are about to turn, and we're going to see it. So we showed it from this angle on purpose so that hopefully you can see a little bit of the hips. We'll have other clips that you're going to show at different angles just so we can have an idea. So we'll see what he does. So, and we watch. So we stop it. You can see his hips turned out at that point in time. You can see, and he pushes it, and there it goes. It goes to his right, goalkeeper's left. So we can see it one more time real quick. So he pushes, you see his hip turned out, but again, you got to be quick enough to realize that the hip was out, and he got beat. He went to the right spot, but wasn't able to get there. Next one. Whoops, I muted you guys. So once again, now he's left-footed, natural way. He pulls, and you can see that he's pulled it to his natural side, and he scored. So that one, that's the tricky one that we see that he actually was bent a little bit, but as he got closer and closer, he did turn his hips at the last second. Those are the tricky guys, and we'll talk about left-footers in a little bit. Left-footers, for some reason, don't always go by the rules. I have not yet figured out why, but they don't go by the rules. So, again, on this one, left-footed, he's a bit off-centered, but at this point in time, oh, I messed up. I thought I learned from my last time. We'll let it fly. So we showed that one again, where you can see him pull it, and he goes. Now we have the guy that goes left-footed, a little bit bent, but for the most part, straight on. He's still there. He's turning, and he goes power. So once the keeper saw that his hips stayed square to him, he knew that he could just step and dive. His hips stayed out the whole time. You know he's going to push it to his left, as he did. Straight on, right-footed. So at this point, you think he's going to his left, but he opens up at the last second, and he goes to his right. No steps at all. That's the hardest ones to get, but he was bent the whole time, and you can see it. No steps. He pushes, boom, all power. Straight on the whole way, all power. You can see on that one as he started to approach. I don't know if you guys were able to see that one. But as you watch right now, straight on, so it looks like if he's straight on, we discuss which way he should go. Right, so he should be able to go this way. But as you watch, you see that he's straight up, and then he pushes. So again, that one was hard, but he was able to see that the hips, this angle is going to be hard for you guys to understand that because you can't see his hips are open, as well as the goalkeeper's view, and that's why we'll show the angle later. But if you can see his hips turned and showed to this angle, and he put it. So again, if you have to wait to that last clue, very hard, especially obviously at that level. It's going to be sometimes too hard. So this is when we do a quick one, and we're going to show straight on. She's a little bit bent. Open and push. See, and she pushes it right to there. Hold it quick. Open and she push. We went a little too far. Recorded too far. Look, they won. Good for them. So that was the one where she watched the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper just guessed. But you could notice as she's running to it, she's a little bit off-centered still. If she stays off-centered, then it's a lot easier for them to open their hips and play it. So as she goes, she stayed off-centered, too easy, and she can play it. But that's who we called the specialists, and those are the ones that are so tricky. You're probably not going to save it unless you know them and you know where they go. So this one they don't really show, but you can see her hip at the last second open up. You can see the foot open up, and they push it. Let's show you that again real quick, sorry. So you can see the hips, and you can see her foot pushed. And right when you see the hips were turned, you see keeper actually sees it, and she's actually already stepping to dive that way. But it's just too late, because once again, if you don't see the clue till the last second, you just hope they don't hit it perfect. Straight on, she goes with power. You know that she's going that way. Opened up, she knows she was going this way. So when they open up, there's less power, so you do have a little bit more time to probably get there. Whereas if it's the natural swing, that's why we're saying that's all power, so you have to be more prepared to go. Oops. So she's off-centered at this point in time. Her hips aren't totally turned to the right. They're actually still kind of staying with the goalkeeper. So that's where you wait now at this point. I have to wait till the run, because I can't really tell, because if she hasn't really shown me. I see that she's bent a little bit, but not enough where I could take off. Oh, did it mess up? Why did it do that to me? We had something under. Okay, so next one. So at that point in time, when you see that she stepped off to the left, so we have to, at that point, if she stays out there, we know that she has to open up her hip. It's the only way that she could hit a ball. It's, like I said, unless she's very tricky. If she takes off and gets closer to the ball, then we can respect that she might hit it to her left and not her right. Right away, you can see that she stayed out the whole time. Her hips were open the whole time, and now you can see that she's about to push it. So if we've done this and we practice it, then goalkeeper should be all over it, and she was. So again, the more and more you do practice them, the more you start to understand the clues and the cues and the different points of them. That there's the early, there's the on approach, and there's the last clue. Then it's a lot easier. Not a lot easier, but definitely easier. So if you guys aren't able to see that, I stop it sometimes. So somebody asks if the frame is supposed to be video or frames. It's supposed to be video. So if it's choppy to you, then like I said, you're going to have to either, when I send the recorded one to you, you'll be able to review it and see it in full motion. So I don't, because if you guys have bad internet service over there, or too many people watching too many things, then that's going to happen. So our last thing before we move on. So on the last one, this set that we show is just from this angle of more of a pro game. So you'll be able to see on this one, you're going to be able to see two different angles. You're going to see the angle from behind the goal like that as a replay, and the shot itself. So you'll be able to see that they opened up their hips and push. And because at that level, if you open up your hips and you're just going to barely touch that thing, and that was still hard, he's going to be all over that. Hips are open, pushes it right there. Even though he could be tricky, he just go with what he's supposed to do. Hips are open, just pushes it there. Hips are open, but he pulls it. So those are your tricky ones. There's no way he held that until the very last second, and then he turned it. That almost looks awkward and looks like it's painful for the shooter, but again, that's the left footer. And those are the ones that you just say, oh, well, I could say at least one of them. The power, straight down the middle or else off-centered. And that one was straight down the middle. The quick touch, and he hits, and he saves. So if you remember earlier, we showed Holland again, and that guy went the exact same way. He did the exact same approach, and he hit it the exact same style. So if we're at a professional or college level, or maybe even at a high level where people actually film the game, you're able to actually know already firsthand that, okay, we know the scouting report on him. He takes that quick little step. We know that at that point in time, he's going to hit it with his natural way. So go for it. And he does. So again, scouting reports always trump the clues, but it proves the clue. So straight on, goes into it, pulls it with the power. He saw it, but he just couldn't get there. So that was an interesting one because, again, this guy, same thing was with the other one, is he did that exact same run up in the last game, and he hit it to his natural side that we talked about. That naturally came in and he just hit it there. He's one of the specialists that as he got closer to it, he's able to, at that last point, turn the hips and go. So if he went off scouting report, he got beat because he thought that's where it was going to happen. And that's where it gets harder and harder for us goalkeepers, because the more you think we know about them, the more they know about what we're going to do, and they switch in on us. So he's going straight on. He pushes, and he just cracks. At that point, if you could get there and fly and be a hero, great. If he hits it that hard, you're probably not going to get there. So again, when we're doing the penalty kicks, the shootouts, it's more about us as, is there somebody in those 5 that do the clues to the T? Do they go up and they do everything that we've talked about in this little session here? And if they do, and we dive and get it, we'll be the hero. We'll save maybe 2 or 3. If we get it maybe 1, then that's even better. But or at least we're going to win. Hopefully, if our team could score. And again, he can see it. He pushes it. And he saves. I let it go again. By the way, I was ending it because I'm about to be done with this. So it's just making sure, again, can you wait for the last clues? I suggest if we're going to be in a penalty kick shootout, you do just go with the clues. And as the running clue happens, you should already have made a decision, and you should be going. At that point in time, you're going to probably then save some. You might go the wrong way on others if they're tricky. But again, if you could save 2, definitely will win. Save 1, you should be able to win. But nowadays, depends, I guess, on your counterpart, the keeper itself. So any questions? Yes, some of yours, like I said, some of it will be laggy. That's on your internet speed. And again, we're at 6:30 at night where everybody's probably on the internet and home. And so it happens. And that's why we record this, and that's why you'll be able to review it and watch it all over again. And you can start and stop it yourself, so you can see their hips, you can see their run, you can see their turns. Other than that, anybody have questions? Anybody do anything different or see certain things that they do that works for them when they're doing the penalty kick shootouts? Anybody have any tricks that they want to share?
I have one.
Go ahead.
What I like to do is usually wait like a second or 2 before to see when they hit it, and then I dive that way, like what way they hit the ball.
So you're waiting until they actually hit the ball?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, so at the younger ages, you definitely could wait till they hit the ball because they still don't hit it hard. But once you guys get to be 14 and older, they hit the ball pretty hard. And so that's why we're saying at that point in time. So that's a good point, though, because if those of you that are in here that are probably younger than 12, you probably could still look at the clues, have an idea where they're going, and wait And if they do hit it there, you probably still could adapt and save. But as you get older and you don't have time because that ball is hit anywhere from 60 to 80 miles an hour from 12 yards away, that's pretty fast to react, and it's possibly not going to happen. So yes, for the younger ones,
that does happen. It's like pretty much impossible to get if you're young.
right?
I don't have a trick, but I have like something that I saw a lot in high school season.
What did you see?
When the penalty taker was running up to the ball, if they were square to the ball or running straight at it, they would hit it to the right more often than the left. If they're a righty.
To their right?
Yeah. To my left.
And so they would open their hips and you'd see it.
Yeah, and if they're at a wide angle, they would hit it to my right, their left. More often than not.
Right. And then that's like I said,
across their hips, which was weird.
Yes.
But
there are the ones that are tricky that are able to, like you saw, I believe it was Holland. He was when we stopped that one where he showed his hips were totally turned, but he was still able to hit across his body and score. So that's what we're saying. If you're having people that could do that, they're not going to hit it hard. They just know that you're diving early, and they showed the clue on purpose. Obviously, field players know our tricks at those levels, just like we know their tricks. So it gets to the point where it's a mind game. So only the elite in the world as a field player, though, could really hit balls like that. So there are a few who could do it, and that's why, again, we continue to reiterate and say that it's as long as, in the PK shootout, you might have one of the fullbacks who all they're going to do is they're going to run up, they're going to do the power, that they're going to come square, they're going to hit it. And if they hit it square, then it's going to be that natural swing. If that natural swing happens, then that's your cue of, okay, I know I'm going to take off and dive this way. So it is what it is on that part. If they toe poke, yes. If they toe poke, then that's, so we don't want to talk about the tricky guys, because there's going to be the ones that are so tricky that there's just no, they defy all the rules. They're able to hit it with their little toe. They're able to turn the hips at the last second. They're able to keep their hips out, but and kick it the opposite way. So those are the ones that that's what we're having the discussion for, is that we're trying to say is that's going to happen, and oh well. But there's going to be the few that are going to show the cue or the clue, and those are the ones that you want to go. So
I look at the kicker's eyes. Like, if they're like staying down like one side, then probably either gonna go to that side. Probably gonna go to that side.
It'll work, and the younger ones, as they start as the kickers get a little more savvy, they'll look at the side on purpose and hope that you think they're looking that way, and they make you see that they look that way, and then you think they went that way, and they switch it on you. So the eyes lie, the hips don't lie. So, but like we said, the hips is a last second ditch, and if you could read it that quickly and then explode, and that's the physical part that we talked about, being able to fly off of one step from the middle all the way to the other post. So other than that, we have more to get to. So if you guys have more questions, you can always email to me, tell me afterwards, or once you watch the presentation again on your own, once recorded, if you have more questions on it, then by all means, always ask. What is that? Oh, okay. I am meeting you guys all again. So with that being said, we are done with our penalty kicks, and we're going to move into our little mental skill part of it. So let me go over here. Madison, can you unmute yourself? There we go. Can you go ahead and speak?
Can everyone hear me?
No, barely. I can barely hear you. Can everybody else? It's very low. Go ahead and say a few things, and then we'll see if I can hear you, because right now I can't hear you. you're muted actually.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, it's still a little bit.
Sorry.
How's everybody? As long as you guys can hear, you're good. I can hear. That was better when you said sorry, by the way. Okay. So I will control the slides on this one, Madison, right? And you're gonna speak. So if you want me to, do you want me to give control of it? And that way you could.
Sorry, there's some technical difficulties with the audio on my end.
I can hear you. I'm gonna unmute all of you guys. Just go ahead and mute yourselves, except that way Maddie can do it.
Okay, can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So should we get started, Coach Jeff?
We are ready.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start the video as well. Okay, hi everyone, my name's Madison Hunt. I am a mental skills coach. I recently got my master's in sports psychology from Long Beach State University. While I was there, I had consulting experience at the NCAA Division I level, in club sports, and also with high school athletes. So I've had a few years of experience now, but I love helping athletes with their mental game. And so starting the presentation off, has anybody ever practiced mental skills at all or heard of mental skills? You all are pretty young and it's a fairly new kind of concept in youth sports. So for those of you who haven't, mental skills are strategies that we use to enhance our mental game, but also to help us increase the enjoyment of sport, but mostly to help athletes with the way they think, feel, to then change how they behave or act in sport to help their physical performance. So how we handle, stress, or how we handle, those anxious thoughts or nerves that we get before a game, how we can use those to be something that's facilitative, so something that's helpful rather than something that's going to hinder our performance. So examples of different mental skills that we usually use within sport are focus, or like that concentration, goal setting, team cohesion, visualization and imagery, relaxation, and some energy or emotional regulation. And some of these skills that we're going to focus on a little bit today are going to be the concentration or the focus, goal setting, visualization, and imagery we'll cover a little bit, but then at a later time we'll go over that some more in depth, and relaxation a little bit. So the mental skills complements the physical training, right? So we were talking about that holistic, the pillars, so it's more holistic. So we can't just practice our physical skills without all the other pillars, right? We have to practice them all together. So just like mental skills need to be practiced as well. So just like you're practicing your physical skills for goalkeeping, you're kind of going over these different concepts for PKs. These mental skills also require dedication and practice, and having your full attention when you do practice these skills. And right now, since some of us aren't able to train with everything that's going on right now, this might be a really good time to focus on the mental side of the game to help you improve these skills. For when you do go back to competing, it's kind of more habit. It's just you're more familiar with them and how to use them within the game. And so for goal setting, so the first thing we're going to go over is that goal setting. So it's important to reflect like where your skills are at like right now and see where you want them to go. So if you're maybe lacking some footwork, for example, how do you want to improve your footwork? How can you get there? So you want to make something that's specific. Like I want my footwork to be a lot quicker. Okay, so how am I going to achieve this? What can I do every day, every training session? What can I do every week? What can I do every match to strengthen this skill as like a outcome goal? So goals overall need to be what we call SMART goals. And so that's specific, so something that is direct and detailed, measurable, so something that we're able to track throughout time. So if we want it to be a little bit quantifiable, so maybe making sure we can track our progress and our successes, because we all like to see that we're making progress, right? We like to see that we're getting better at something so that we stay motivated. Making sure that things are attainable, so not setting too crazy of goals, something that we can't achieve. So we want to make sure that we're able to achieve these goals. Something realistic as well. So saying I want to be able to save every single penalty kick in every match or every tournament maybe is not too realistic, right? But we all still want to be able to challenge ourselves. So making sure that we set realistic goals and also timely. So having a time frame and maybe like a deadline, so that way we're staying on topic and we're staying motivated to achieve these goals. And also another important concept with goal setting is making sure that we divide our goals into outcomes. So at the end result, what do we want the ultimate goal to be? And performance goals, so setting these goals based on past performances, and process goals, so specific ways to work at each specific skill. And so I like to think of the process goals as like little baby steps to get to the little milestones of the performance goals. And then if you add up those milestones, you get to the outcome goal. So it's kind of like a little journey of the goal setting. So here's a little visual of those SMART goals that might be a little bit easier to look at when you're creating your goals. And then we can go ahead to the next one. So you emailed the goal setting worksheet. So these are your goals, and we broke them down into outcome goals, performance goals, and process goals. So if you want to take those out now, I also made an example of one that's already filled out, and these are very surface level skills or goals. So for me, I did something that's more based on like exercise, but I put a little keeper example in there as well. But make sure these are goals that you want to achieve for like right now. So start with your outcome goal of, okay, this is what I want to improve on, or this is what I want to be at the end, to achieve at the end of, you know, training or your next competition, or, you know, if you want to do something in the long run. Start off with those outcome goals and make sure they're a little bit more specific than these ones. I just wanted to give like an idea of, you know, a specific or outcome goal. But, you know, maybe this time right now, since you can't compete very much with your teams, you can only compete against yourself right now. Maybe this is a good time to focus more on a mental goal, or, you know, goals that you can't really work on when you're training with your teams. So go ahead and take a little bit of time to pick those outcome goals. And then there's 2 performance goals for each of the outcome goals, and then 2 process goals for each of the like performance goals. Does anybody have any questions or need clarification on different types of goals or how to set them?
So if you guys could not print these out, or I think a few of you came in late, so you didn't receive it. So you're able to, basically right now, you're able to just write out the outcome goal, and you should be able to create your outcome, and then just follow the boxes, the performance goals, every step that you want to get to that point, and then the process goals of what each individual part of it is going to happen so that you reach your outcome. So just, if you guys need it, write it down on the picture that you see there. Pick one. Make sure you guys are actually picking something. Again, like Madison said, it could be, the outcome could be as specific as, like she wrote, stronger with your feet. An outcome goal could be more of wanting to play Division I soccer, wanting to play professional, or so it could be very quick to next week, or it could be from 4 to 6 years from now.
Yeah, and so for my outcome goal, I could have made those more specific with, let's say, for improved running, I could say I want to get my mile time down to a 7:20 mile, or I want to be able to bench press 100 pounds by this time, or something that gives something with a little bit that's more quantifiable as well. So go ahead and give you a couple more minutes or minute or so to fill these out. And if you, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework, so you can always finish these at a later time. If you've never set goals before and you need a little bit of time to think and really evaluate where you're at right now and where you want to be in the future, that's perfectly okay too. And I also have my email at the end in case you want to email me with your goals, and ask if you have any questions. Go ahead and ask me, or if you need clarification, that will be at the end as well.
This is huge for us to actually start. Make sure you guys are really understanding that this is important, that if you want to become, and we talked about that in the very beginning, that elite athlete, the elite goalkeeper, these are the little things that you have to do, because you have to create the goals for yourself, as small as they could be, so you know what you need to improve on. It helps our self-assessment of each other. You're able to know that what your weakness is and what you need to improve on. And so it's getting to that point where once I could assess what I need, I could create these little goals for myself. And this is helping you on paper, but obviously you don't always have to have it on paper, but it helps that you're able maybe to have a monthly goal and do this. So make sure you are writing these down. Make sure you do this. It is very important actually to just ourself, the rest of your life. Even when you guys have a job or in the real world, you're actually the bosses or the companies will still ask for your performance goals and where you're at for each individual year. So this is something that it's good to learn for not only us as athletes, but you're going to be having to do it as in college students and in the workforce. So
yeah, and if for those of you who do want to play in college, a lot of Division I teams and Division II, Division III will meet at the beginning of a season or an off season and set team goals, and the athletes will set individual goals as well. So right now these are more so individual goals since you're not with your teams, but you can even come together as a team once you do get back to playing all together, to set team goals of, okay, this is what our end result is. Or for those of you who are in high school, if an outcome goal could be, we want to make CIF, or we want to win CIF. So coming together as a team, you can even set these goals. But right now we're going to focus on making them individual. But again, these are super important, and even Division I athletes, professional athletes set goals and use mental skills to really get their performance to that next level. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. If you didn't finish, go ahead and finish those after. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. But the imagery and visualization we'll cover at a later time. I just want to briefly go over and explain it to you. So it's using mental rehearsal to prepare the body and mind before a skill is physically practiced or performed. So it's kind of just sitting there when you're on the pitch, kind of going over, let's say, a PK. You're going over in your mind how the kicker is going to approach you, or how the athlete is going to move their hips. These are things that you can visually see in your mind before you get to the field. And it could be used for a specific skill, or it can be used for energy regulations or reactions to certain situations. So if you're going to be playing a team that maybe you played previously and there was a little bit of emotions going on, how you're going to respond to those emotions this time. If the team's getting a little bit aggressive, how are you going to be able to control those feelings that you get when you're getting a little bit worked up? How can you channel those to be relaxed, to turn those into something that's helpful rather than getting stressed out or getting that heart rate up and losing that focus so that you're making mistakes or letting the emotion get to you. And it incorporates all the senses and to make the image as visual as possible and most effective. But we'll go over that at a later time. So also relaxation is good for recovery, clearing the mind and body of stress to help you reach that peak performance. It can be used in and out of competition. So an example of it being used in competition is, say you're in that PK situation, and you know, sometimes when you are in those stressful situations, you know, your heart rate starts getting a little bit faster, you're having those physiological responses, maybe your breathing gets a little heavy, you're getting a little bit nervous, which are all normal feelings. Those things are normal things that everybody experiences, especially in a situation like that, and all eyes are on you. But it's okay, because those are signs that your body's telling you that you're ready to compete and that you're ready to perform. So instead of saying, oh no, I'm nervous, you can just say, this is my body telling me that I'm supposed to be in this situation and I'm going to perform well. An example of using relaxation out of competition is, let's say you had a really tough practice, your body's tired, you're all students as well, so you have school, you have soccer to balance out. So sometimes it's nice to just take a few minutes, breathe. There's different forms of relaxation that you can use to really get your mind and body relaxed so that you can focus on the next task at hand. So the different forms that we have are breathing techniques, progressive muscle relaxation, which is a muscle to mind form of relaxation, which is personally one of my favorites, because I would have a hard time just being able to sit there and meditate. So progressive muscle relaxation, you go through your whole body, starting with like your feet, and you tense all the muscles one by one, and you release that tension with the breath, so that way that your mind relaxes as your body is relaxing. And the last one is the mind to muscle relaxation, or that meditation. But I do want to take you through the different types of breathing, because everybody works a little bit differently. And so we'll go over triangle breathing, 1-to-1 ratio, and a 1-to-2 ratio. So we're going to start the triangle breathing. So if everybody just wants to kind of sit tight, relax a little bit. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And then I will guide you through the breathing. So I'll tell you how many seconds to inhale, to hold the breath, and to exhale. Okay? So go ahead, close your eyes if you want. And you're going to inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Again, inhale for 1, 2, 3. Hold for 1, 2, 3. And exhale for 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's the triangle breathing. That's when you're going to inhale, hold the breath, and exhale for the same amount of seconds. And you can pick however many seconds you want. So if you're just starting out, your diaphragm is a muscle, so that needs to be trained. Just like, you know, say you want stronger arms, your arms need to be trained to get stronger. So your breathing also needs to be trained as well. So starting off, you might start off with 2 or 3 seconds each, but the more experience you get, you might be able to go to, 6, 7 seconds, whatever you feel most comfortable with. So now we're going to do the 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to inhale and exhale for the same amount of seconds. So ready? Inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. Again, inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3. So that's that 1-to-1 ratio. And now we're going to go into the 1-to-2 ratio, which is an inhale for say 3 seconds, but then you're going to double the exhale. So the exhale would be 6 seconds. So we're going to start. So inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so those are the different forms of breathing that you can use in competition, out of competition. You can practice different types of breathing for different situations, but these are things that you can use even in those PK situations where you feel those nerves coming in. You can use your breathing to help control that, to help get your heart rate down, to control the breaths before you get started. So that's the relaxation. And if anybody wants different relaxation techniques, so if anybody wants a progressive muscle relaxation script or like a recording, just go ahead and email me and I can send you some of those as well, so you can start practicing relaxation during this time as well. And now we're going to get into kind of the meat of what we're going to be going over today, which is focus. So everybody knows keepers are essential players on the pitch. You're the eyes for the team. You can see the game like nobody else can. You're constantly scanning and analyzing.
Oh my. You don't take this seriously. I am.
Being able to focus on the appropriate cues and shift appropriately and efficiently is a really important aspect of being an athlete overall, but especially as a keeper. You're going to really need to kind of master this, since the ball is always moving. It's going to approach you, and that's where this little model to the right, it kind of explains that. You don't need to know this model word for word. It's just kind of an idea. What I really want you to get out of it is that your attention is always going to shift. So sometimes it's going to be that external broad corner where maybe the ball's on the opposite side of the field and you're kind of able to scan a lot of the environment, but then maybe it starts getting a little bit more narrow to where now maybe the ball's coming to you and you have to focus in on maybe just the player with the ball and a couple of your defenders. And then maybe once the ball's getting to you and you have to make a decision of, okay, I'm going to approach the ball, I'm going to come out of my box. You're in that like narrow internal of mentally rehearsing where your next move is going to go. So what I really want you to get out of this model is that your focus is always shifting, and it happens throughout the entire game, but being able to control where your focus is at. So sometimes we want our focus to be a little bit more open, and that's when maybe the ball's on the other side of the field. But sometimes when our focus is too broad, that's not a good thing. So if we have too broad a focus, let's say on a corner kick, and we're focusing too much on the players all around us and not on the ball, we're not able to see where it's coming from. But then having too narrow focus, or having that like tunnel vision of, okay, we're just going to focus on the ball, isn't good either. So if we're just focusing on the ball in a corner kick and we're not maybe paying attention to somebody who's on the back post, that's not good either, right? So being able to focus on the appropriate cues at the right time is super important. And also maintaining composure and focus during stressful situations, bouncing back from mistakes and having that consistency when things are going well. So that's where that mental toughness is. Mental toughness is being able to recover, let's say when you make a mistake, but then also when you're performing really well, when you're on the top of your game, how can you maintain that consistency of playing well? So really bringing in that mental toughness aspect as well. And a big part of focus is being able to concentrate on your controllables. So that's kind of a little bit of focus as a whole when we're talking about it in sport. But other things that are really important is when you're having that clear thinking, we're having that positive thinking. So something that is going to be helpful to our game. So when we think of making a mistake, inevitably you're probably going to make a mistake. But sometimes, like when you tell a little kid not to touch something, what are they going to do? They're going to touch it, right? So that's how our mind works too. So if we say, okay, don't make a mistake, the intention is good, but the way you phrase it is really important as well. So when you say like, don't give up, you're already inviting that idea of giving up into your mind. And so our brains kind of like stick to that word of like, oh, mess up, instead of don't mess up. So the way we phrase our self-talk is going to be super important as well. So making sure that it's positive and helpful to what we want to achieve. So instead of don't give up, what would be a better example of self-talk? Maybe keep pushing or keep going. So whatever you want your outcome to be is what you want to tell your mind to do. Okay. So when we have that clear thinking, when it's positive, we're going to make instinctive decisions. So we're going to our body's just going to react based off our, previous training. It's going to become like habit. Also the ability to regain control, because, mistakes are going to happen and you're going to lose focus sometimes. That's part of being an athlete, it's part of being a human. Some days are going to be rough. We might have a really stressful day at school and we have a lot on our plate. So sometimes we will lose focus, it's inevitable, but we can always bring it back with certain cues or, practicing our mental skills so that we have mental fitness to be able to regain that focus, to stay on task. And also being able to handle adversity and not be affected by, our opponents or distractions or uncertain things that come into the game. We're able to respond quickly and positively to those things that might come to us. So if you want to take out the Controllables Worksheet, you don't have to fill this out right now, just for the sake of time, because we have another activity that we're going to do. But go ahead and, fill that out this week. Think about it, think about all the things that you can control, especially during this time. There's a lot of things that are out of our control, like when we're going to be able to meet with our teams again. But what can you do right now that really brings our attention to things that you can control and focus on those things? And then that will take us to our next slide of the activity. So this is, I like to call it red light, green light for focus. But basically our green is going to be our focus. So we're locked in, we're in the center of our spiral, we're centered, we're concentrated, we are locked in on our game. And then, sometimes we get into that yellow of, okay, maybe we make some mistakes, and we feel ourselves starting to think about irrelevant cues or irrelevant thoughts. Maybe we're thinking about the homework that we have later on, which can then kind of spiral out into the red. So if we're having a really bad game, maybe we get scored on a couple times, we just have so much on our plate that we're not even focused on soccer. That's when we're going to be in that red. So it's a spiral. So sometimes, give yourself a little bit of leeway with the green of, okay, I'm going to give myself a couple little spirals. But then once I get to this portion of my spiral, this is when I'm in the yellow, and then I'm completely spiraled out when I'm here. So the arrows are just kind of an idea of whereabouts in the spiral you may be. It might be different for everybody, but this is where I would put my colors into my spiral. And then I also have an example of the activity filled out. So what you're going to do is take some time to write some thoughts and situations in the game or in training where you're in each of these colors. So for the green, maybe it's when you're making saves, when you're communicating well, and when you're communicating loudly with your teammates, your distributions are accurate, maybe things that going on through your head are more positive self-talk. So you can say like, I'm really on it today, or your communication is effective with your teammates. You're thinking about all the right cues, all the relevant things. So plays, opponents, movements, your next move at the right times. You can even draw some pictures of like, okay, this is what it feels like when I'm in the green. So for me, when I'm in the green, I feel relaxed, I feel calm. It just, things come naturally when I'm in the green. And then maybe when I'm in the yellow, your mind starts to wander a little bit. You're thinking about irrelevant things. maybe some negative self-talk is kicking in of like, oh, I need to get focused. I need to pick it up. Come on, like get back in the game. Things may be a little bit hazy. So maybe that's when mistakes happen, miscommunication happens. And then the red is complete negative self-talk for me. And then you're trying extra hard to come back and get back on track, or maybe you're telling yourself you stink at this, or you're mad at yourself. Maybe you're having those like physiological responses of an increased heart rate. You're a little bit flustered. You're starting to get a little bit stressed. You're focusing on things that you can't control. So go ahead and write down situations in a match where you feel like you're in each of these areas. Maybe write down some self-talk that you tell yourself in each of these colors, and then how you feel during each of these, and then we'll come back together and talk about it. So go ahead and take some time to fill that out. And you know,
those of you that see me regularly, we will be using this a lot, because this is something that you actually do need to learn how to like a light switch when you're focusing, how you switch it on, how you switch it off. When the ball is a lot farther away from you, you can switch it off. When the ball is getting closer, when do you switch it on? And when does it need to be immediate versus the one how you see it spiraling out? So this is a great little tool that we will use, and we will make sure that when we do our game reports and game assessments, this will be something that we'll put into it. So if you have questions, better make sure you ask now.
Yeah, and the beauty of this is, you know, it's going to happen. You might get into the red. You will get into the red at some point. You will be in the yellow at some point. But our goal is to try and be in the green as much as we can. But mistakes are going to happen. We're going to, have some rough days. But the beauty of sport and the beauty of like our mind is that you can always bring it back. So even though you're in the red, you can always reel it back into the green. And that's why we're practicing these skills now. So that way, once you do get back to competing regularly, it just habit. It's just being able to, like the light switch, turn it back on and get back into the green. And then after you fill out the different colors and the situations, we'll talk about focus cues as well. But I want to give you some time to write down, situations or experiences that you feel when you're in the green, in the yellow, and in the red. And if you want to write down some self-talk, go ahead as well.
I'm going to go back a couple slides. Somebody asked if they could go back. So as they're writing down their stuff, I'm just going to go, I think, to the focus one. To this one, Dalton?
And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
This one, the breathing one? Okay. And remember, you guys will get all this stuff to you. So whatever you can't write out, you'll be able to write it later.
Does anybody have any questions or need clarification on anything?
I've never played Murder Mystery.
You never played Murder Mystery. We can hear you.
Right, let's focus. This is a perfect example. Okay, so if you're not done, continue filling it out, but just for the sake of time, let's see. Coach Jeff, do you want to hear a couple examples of what the athletes have come up with, or should we kind of just go into the debrief of the focus cues?
I would like to hear if somebody would like to share one.
Okay, so if somebody would like to share an example of your green, your yellow, and your red, and explain what happens or what you're doing during these situations, and when you kind of feel yourself getting to the next color. So who
Be
would
brave.
like to share? If nobody answers, I will pick randomly.
Oh,
Okay,
you got to pick random.
let's see. Who wants to go? Let's see. How about Charlotte? Oh, there's 2 Charlottes.
Well,
Lisa?
Charlotte keeps getting kicked out, so she might not have been able to do it. So
Okay.
might want to ask somebody else. Yeah, she keeps getting
How
kicked
about
out.
Gio?
Who is that?
Gio? There, Gio, are you there?
Gio.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear your examples, buddy.
Okay. So my red is when I miss a shot and I think about it, how I could have done better for like 10 minutes straight.
Okay.
And my yellow is how I like blame my teammates when I could have saved the shot. And my green is getting over something quickly or being positive.
Okay. So those are great examples. Thank you for sharing, Gio. So again, for your yellow, when you say you're kind of blaming your teammates for if you get scored on, those are things that we can't control, right? So how we can shift our focus into things that we can control, maybe like our attitude towards that, our reactions to that of, okay, it's 1 goal, I'm going to brush it off and I'm going to get the next one. So changing that negative self-talk as well to, I got the next shot, or keep pushing. And in the red, making sure that we're staying positive with ourselves and with our teammates and communicating effectively with our teammates and keeping that focus and concentration on things that we can control in the game and in the match, so that we have positive reactions and positive thoughts to adversity. But thank you for sharing, Gio. Does anybody else want to share before we move on to the focus cues? Or does anybody have any questions about focus? No? Okay. So while we were talking about, we can bring ourselves back into the green with the focus cue. So focus cues can be either physical or verbal. And so maybe a physical focus cue could be, okay, I'm going to fix the straps on my gloves to brush off a mistake, or I'm going to, fix my socks, or I'm going to take 2 deep breaths of the triangle breathing to really center myself back into focus. Or it can be something that's verbal, like, okay, I'm going to tell myself, let's get back to the green when I feel myself getting into the yellow, or when I'm in the red of, okay, let's bring it back. I've got this, making sure that things are positive. The way we phrase our self-talk is in a positive and effective manner. So if I feel like I'm starting to give up a little bit of, okay, keep pushing, stay with it, lock it in, or I've got the next one, we've got this, to your teammates, being, having that positive talk with your teammates as well is really important, because you're all in this together. You can't win with just one of you pushing hard. So making sure that our communication with our teammates is also constructive and positive. And that's kind of, we like to call it a feedback sandwich. So something that's positive with something that's constructive with another positive at the end. So, hey, so-and-so, I like the effort. Maybe next time we can push them to the sideline. But overall, like, let's keep pushing. I like the work. So making sure that things are positive and effective. You can take time this week. So I'm going to give you a little bit of kind of homework or things to work on to train for this week. So you're going to finish writing out your goals, your outcome goals, performance goals, and your process goals. And then pick one process goal to concentrate on. And this is like a really good time to focus on maybe a mental goal that you may have of, okay, this week I'm going to work on focus. And so as you train physically, maybe take some notes of where you lack focus, or when you feel like you're locked in, and maybe draw out the stoplight again and say, okay, today I was in the green when I was, practicing my footwork, or I started losing focus when I started thinking about this uncontrollable of what's going on right now. So kind of take notes of when you feel like your mind is in the green, the yellow, and the red consistently while you train this week. And then also try to create that focus cue. And so sometimes this takes practice as well. So maybe you think that a physical cue will work, and then you realize that you're more verbal, and you switch it to having a verbal cue. So try different ones to see which one is most effective and efficient for you, and practice that, because again, these skills do take practice and focus to make them stronger and better. And so just really try to bring that awareness in this week on focus and your goals. Work hard, be present, and believe in yourself. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. I have my email there. Coach Jeff has it as well. So if you have any questions on any other mental skills or mental training, just go ahead and email me, and I'd be happy to answer your questions for you. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
Thank you so much. So again, that was great. If you guys, the more that you get into our sports performance and what we call sports psychology at a higher levels, these are certain things that, like Madison did discuss, at the NCAA levels, you actually will have times where you'll go in as a team and you'll discuss our focus and our goals and all the outcomes. And this is something that is done by every athlete actually at the higher levels, from NCAA college all the way into the pros. So these are something that the sports performance and sports psychology is a very, very big thing for us as athletes. So it's not something to take lightly. Use the tools, start learning, and like we do on all the stuff that we've been doing with all these Zoom, it does take time. It takes concentration and it takes practice. And so use it so that when you are called upon later in life, you're able to already understand it, and you're able to articulate what you would like, and you're able to assess yourself. And that's what we're really trying to get out of this, is can we start to assess ourselves and make ourselves that better person. So thank you so much, Madison, and we will move on.
Thank you so much, Coach Jeff. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Albert, are you there?
I am here.
So you should be able to take over. Let me
press the button just to make sure that we're good. Can you see my screen?
I can. Can everybody else? Can you guys all see that?
Yeah.
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 Perfect.
Yes.
I'm gonna mute.
Okay.
Make sure you guys go ahead and mute yourselves. I'll just do it by myself. That way you can move on.
Okay. So, just so you know, I do commend you guys for spending these 3 hours or so learning to be better goalkeepers. So what I will be presenting is common injuries, rehab techniques, and nutrition in goalkeepers. So this is specific for you guys. We're not including those field players who get all the glory, right? It's all about us right now. All right. So for us, what we're gonna do, oops. So what we're gonna do, So quick get to know me. So I am an athletic trainer at Cal Poly Pomona. Give me a second. I'm getting a can you guys see the white blocks that are popping up on screen? or Jeff?
Yeah. Are they notifications or?
They shouldn't be. I got everything
Oh, you know,
clicked off.
I think you have to, you know what, go into the, I don't know if I could do it from my side, but we need to get rid of people who are trying to use the annotation and they're writing. That's why there's stuff on the screen, so they're able to. Because you're not doing that, are you?
No.
Okay. So if you guys, make sure you guys aren't writing on your screen or touching your screen, because you actually somehow you have control. You had control. So
Let me stop share really quick.
there's a on the. Let me see if I could. Okay, yeah. If you restart, then make sure though you're on your side. You should be able to, on the three little dots, you should be able to open that, and you should make sure that you disable the annotation for all others, and then that way they won't be able to do any annotating. I don't know if that shows up on your side.
It does not show up on my side.
Okay, so you should be able to restart it now, and just make sure you guys are not touching the screen or doing that. They should not be doing that.
All right, let's see. So we should be good. All right. So again, just to re-emphasize what we talked about, a little bit about myself, just to kind of tie this in, but I'm an athletic trainer at Cal Poly Pomona, which is just around southern part of California. I also have experience as a former Diamond Ranch High School boys varsity soccer coach, and I was also a former goalkeeper at a junior college called Citrus College. And during that time, I was actually coached and trained by Mr. Jeff Tackett. So the same guy that's providing all this amazing content for you guys, he has also done the same for me. And so the reason this is important is because during my college career, some of the things that really did hurt me were injuries. And if I felt like I was, for me on my part, it was really important for me to stay healthy, right? If I wanted to maintain my playing time. So for me, I wanted to make sure that I was supposed to stay educated on the injury part of things, and as well as making sure that I keep my playing time for me to keep my my place on the team. Okay, I see we got comments. Okay, so what's an injury? It's sustaining harm or damage where possible impairments of the body can occur. So what happens is when you're a goalkeeper, right, you get shot at by a ball, right, and you miscatch it, and that ball jams you right in the finger, right, that causes some kind of harm or damage, okay? And as a result, you get an impairment where you start to lose function of your fingers, right, because it's already been considered jammed, right? So that's an example of an injury. So anytime you get hit in the shoulder, get your fingers jammed, it is a injury. So common injuries in goalkeepers that you're going to deal with.
Yeah, somebody's still touching the screen. Who's doing that on the screen? Did they take control again? Somebody took control again?
I just saw the 3 dots that you're talking about. I put disabled attendee annotations.
So that's for you, yeah, but we should be able to disable so nobody else could do it either.
Okay.
So that should help, yeah. So now no one should be able to write on the screen.
Okay, let me stop share because it kept it on. And share screen. Okay, it should calm down now that I figure this out. Yeah. All right, so back at it. So some of the common injuries in goalkeepers that have been observed to occur more likely in high school and college are finger sprains, wrist sprains, shoulder sprains, muscle strains, otherwise known as muscle tears or pulls, and body contusions, which means you getting hit, okay? So we'll learn a little bit more about that, and I'll give you guys some strategies on how to really come back from these injuries. And the first one we're going to talk about is finger sprains, right? This is very, very common in a lot of goalkeepers. Point being, we constantly use our hands, right? To catch a ball, to punch a ball, whatever, all the stuff that we do, okay? So finger sprain, what is it? Is when you stretch or tear ligaments. So ligaments are these white little things that support your joints, right? So if you see my fingers, right, you can see these nodules. These nodules are covered by ligaments, okay? And they keep your joints in place. So I don't know if you've ever seen maybe like a joint be dislocated. So that means when a joint just pops out of its place, right? When that happens is because the ligament has been either stretched or torn, and now we get the joint to come out of its place. All right, that's a bad thing. So some of the common causes is when a direct force, such as a soccer ball, comes at us and it jams our fingers, okay? So that painful ache that we feel within our fingers, these are all considered finger sprains. And so some of the signs and symptoms that happen with finger sprains is you get severe tenderness at the joints, right? So if I were to jam this finger right here, it'd be really tender to touch, okay? You also get swelling, some possible bruising. So it might look like this picture right here, right? If you see this athlete's finger, right, it's purple, it's fat, right? That's a finger sprain, okay? And it's often difficult to move, right? It's painful. It feels like there's a lot of pressure, right? It happens. Another common injury that we have is wrist sprains, all right? And your wrist is this part right here that connects our forearm with our hand, okay? And that's another common injury that we see. So what happens with wrist sprains is the structures of the wrist joints, such as ligaments, are overstretched or traumatized, okay? And some of the common causes of how does this happen is we either fall on outstretched hand, right? So let's say we make a save and we land and we stretch and we land with our hand extended out, right? That can force our wrist to hyperextend. And again, some of the signs and symptoms is pain, swelling, and you also have some difficulty moving. So let's say we jammed our fingers or sprained our wrists, right? There's a couple of things that we can do to make sure that we protect these injuries. First thing we can do is we can protect it and rest it. Okay, so one way to protect it is by bracing it. All right, so you might go to CVS, Rite Aid, Walmart, one of these stores where they sell some of these braces, right, on your wrist. Other things that you can do is tape it, right? So you see right here, you have Hugo Lloris taped his wrist, right, in order to prevent the wrist from going full extension, right? So it protects it, keeps it still, it protects it. And the same thing with these fingers, right? You're adding some tape on the fingers to help the joint stay protected and keep it stable, okay? So athletic tape might be an option that you might want to choose. Let's say you have a game one weekend and then the following week you have another game, but you need to protect your body, right? We can use athletic tape to keep us participating in that sport, okay? Other things you can do is ice. You want ice about 15 minutes, as you see right here, 2-3 times per day when you first get your wrist, your first sprain, right? Whether it's wrist or fingers. Okay, so as you see right here. After a few days, ice should only be applied if you feel pain. So this can happen 0, so it probably won't happen for the day, or it can happen 2 times max, okay? So again, general rule, if you get your wrist or fingers injured, right, you want to ice for 15 minutes, at least 2 times a day, 3 times max, okay? And after a few days, let's say 3-4 days have passed by, you only want to ice based on how much pain you have, right? So if you have some pain, go ahead and ice, all right, but don't overdo it. And a couple of strengthening exercises, right? If you look online, you're gonna see so many things on how to strengthen the hands and fingers, but the most important part is gripping, all right? We're goalkeepers, we're meant to have strong hands, right? To catch, to punch, right? So we need to work on our gripping. And as you see right here on the far right side, right, they mention exercise you can do called gripping, right? You can get a softball, kind of like if you were to grab a stress ball and just grip, right? You can get a towel, bunch of towel into like a big giant ball, get your hands and really grip that towel together, all right? And you're actually working on that grip, okay? I see some of you guys are next to a couch, get that pillow right behind you, and you can also work that grip, right? You're squeezing that pillow, right? We're strengthening our fingers. Again, move your fingers, right? A lot of movement of fingers, right? They want, the reason we have so many joints in these fingers, right? Because they can do so many amazing things, right? And so they're meant to move, okay? Same thing, move your wrist, right? Your wrist can move right, left, it can move forward, backwards, right? It can do so many things, all right? So most importantly, just keep working, keep strengthening the fingers, work the wrists, okay? One of my favorite exercises for the wrist, right, is this exercise right here where it says wrist extension. It's simple, right? You get, let's say I got this Gatorade bottle and it's filled with water, and what I can do is I can lift the wrist up and down and use that water as my weight, right? You can do the same thing. Get a can of soup. Okay, you can do a couple of things to strengthen that wrist, right? So plenty of exercises you can do. Flexibility exercises, I love this stretch, okay? So if you guys want to do this right now to really relieve some stress on that forearm, what you can do is you can extend that hand out, turn it, as you see in the picture right at the left side, grab your hand and wrist and just pull back, right? And you might have that nice stretch on that forearm. This is perfect if let's say you've been on the computer for too long, or you're gaming too long, or maybe you're just, your forearms are tired, right? And you need something to release some tension, right? You can provide the stretch and hold for about 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and you're gonna have an instant relief. Okay, same thing, right? Or when you write too much, right? Stuff like that. All right. So now moving on to the shoulder, that's another common injuries that I've seen in high school and in college. So as you get older, right, you start to land a lot more, right? You land a lot more, you're punching more, you're diving more, right? Because, you know, shots are coming from farther away. So what happens is these muscles, ligaments, and joint in the shoulder are traumatized and can no longer support your mobile shoulder, okay? And so the shoulder has so many structures around it because the shoulder joint is similar to a golf ball on a tee. That's why we can move our shoulders in so many directions, right? Because it is exactly like a golf ball on a tee. So some common causes of injury with the shoulders is sometimes you're outstretching arm, forcing the shoulder to be overstretched beyond its limits, kind of like you see in this picture at the bottom. Okay, you see this person catching the ball, diving. He has his arms stretched out, and the moment he lands, you know that shoulder is going to be stretched beyond his limit, right? And now he has an injury. Okay. Other common causes is direct blow, right? It's just someone just hitting you right on that shoulder. So here are some couple examples that goalkeepers, or an example that a goalkeeper can go through as far as receiving a shoulder injury. right, and needing care for it. Okay, so some signs and symptoms: you can have pain during movement, especially when creating the motion how you got hurt. Okay, and you also limit some motion on the shoulders, right? So you can barely move it. Okay, so as you see this goalkeeper, right, as you see him going over this field player, he's tipping over and he's landing on his shoulder, and now he's received, right, a direct blow, as you see right here. Okay. So again, shoulders can get hurt by either overstretching it too far, right, or landing on it and hurting your shoulder. So what do we do? Okay, first you want to rest and protect it. Okay, you want to give your shoulder some love, right, not hurt it so much. And so you want to provide a sling. Okay, if you find this at the store, that's great. If not, you can get a bed sheet and you can actually create yourself a sling yourself. Okay, so you would normally get a bed sheet, a towel, or t-shirt, whatever you have, or a bandana, wrap it around your arm and then tie it behind your neck, just as you see in this picture. Okay, so this is perfect for not allowing your shoulder to drop and causing a lot of pain towards it. Other stuff you can do is ice 20 minutes, two to three times a day when it first happens. Okay, and then after a few days, ice only when there is pain. Again, this can happen 0 times or 2 times per day. Okay, now notice the difference. Notice the difference when you get an injury in the fingers, right, 15 minutes, versus when you get an injury in the shoulder, which is 20 minutes. Okay, the reason you want to ice more on the shoulder is because there's a lot more meatier stuff, right, a lot more fat, a lot more muscle, right, happening at the shoulder. So we need to ice that a little longer. Okay, so that's a good thing to think about, right? The shoulders have more fat, they have more muscle versus the fingers. So we need to spend more time on the shoulders to ice them. So that's why we ice 20 minutes. Okay. And a couple of exercises that you can do with the shoulder, right? You can do some hand-eye coordination. So one example is standing on one leg, getting a tennis ball, getting a soccer ball, throw it on the wall, catching it, right? Because now you're working on your coordination. We don't want to lose our coordination. Other things too is driving a soccer ball into the wall so that way we can do some strength work. This picture right here with the soccer ball, or the volleyball, I should say, what this guy is doing, and he's doing the ABCs with the volleyball on the wall. So he pins that volleyball on the wall, he puts his hand on the wall, on the ball, and he traces the alphabets with that ball. So he goes A, B, C, D, all the way until he gets to Z, and it's gonna give him a nice little burn. Okay, and that's a good way to strengthen your shoulder. Okay, and as again, I've just put this picture right here because if you look online, if you ask a lot of people, they're gonna give you so many shoulder exercises, right? It'd be impossible to fit them all in this presentation, okay? But just know that when you guys look online or ask people, right, they're gonna give you a lot of exercises and they're gonna be good for your shoulder, okay? And then you get muscle strains, right? This is what we know as muscle pulls, right, or muscle tears, okay? And depending on how severe these muscle pulls or muscle strains are, they can vary depending on how much tear you have, right? So grade 1 would be a stretch, they have a partial tear, and then you have a full tear, okay? And one soccer player that's really notorious for getting these muscle strains is Josie Altidore, right? So a lot of times he's done it because he sprinted too fast, right? And his muscles just were not ready to handle that kind of load. Okay. So some common causes of muscle tears or pulls are lack of strength, lack of flexibility, and lack of hydration. So some signs that you will see with a muscle tear, you're going to see pain at the muscle site, right? So like if Josie Altidore, if he were to show you his hamstring, right, this is probably what we would see because he received that muscle injury. Some possible swelling, some bruising, and some lack of strength, right? So if you had to move that muscle, if you had to use that muscle to move a joint or limb, right? It would be painful. Again, so protect and rest. So compression wrap, right? Just wrap that muscle around. Ice to reduce the pain, 0 to 2 times a day for 20 minutes each, right? Again, muscles are very meaty. They have some fat in them. They're very big. So we want to ice 20 minutes a day. Some flexibility, but most importantly, all right, in order to reduce, to not have a muscle pull or tear, nutrition and strength are the biggest, most important factors if you want to stay healthy and not injure a muscle. Okay, I'll say that again, that's really important, right? Strength and nutrition is your biggest things for you to stay healthy and not have a muscle injury. Okay, so if you look at all these exercises, you have an unlimited amount of exercises to choose from. Okay, but most importantly, like I said, right now we're in quarantine. Spend some time doing some body weight exercises, some squats, some push-ups, maybe some planks, right, or side bridges. Any of that stuff will be in your favor and help you out as far as staying healthy. Okay. Now, when I say nutrition, right, and I say lack of hydration, think about this, right? You go to a meat store, right, and you go to the part where they sell all the meats, right? You see all the carne asada, the ribs, the bacon just lined up, right? The good thing about that muscle is that it is nicely fresh and hydrated, right? So you can stretch it versus beef jerky, right? Beef jerky is very frail, right? It's very sturdy, right? So we cannot perform perfectly if we had beef jerky versus, let's say, carne asada, right? So we want to make sure that we're hydrated enough to keep that muscle really healthy and kind of be more of a fluid-like structure. Last injury that's common in seeing goalkeepers. Again, we're maniacs, right? We go in for the tackles. We like to get hit with people, right? So the body reacts into a spasm every time we go into these tackles, following trauma, causing pain to protect itself and possibly trapping blood. Okay, so every time we go in for a tackle, like we see right here, right, or let's say this guy just got hit right in the face, you have a sense of pain, and that body sends pain signals to cause a spasm in order to protect itself. Okay, and when we cause a spasm, right, it traps that blood, and that's when we have stuff like bruising. Okay, so again, some common causes: blunt force trauma. A contusion, all it says is it is a blunt force trauma, right? So if you, let's say you get hit, right, because it's your birthday, right, and you get hit 15 times, that's 15 contusions going into your arm, right? Or you go into a tackle, right, and you get hit in your shin, or maybe you've seen this picture right in your gut, or this guy's face, that is considered a contusion, right, because he just got hit, okay? And so some signs, again, tenderness at pain, right? So if you've ever gotten hit and you've touched it, it's been tender. You'll see some swelling and bruising, like you see right here, right? Maybe some of you goalkeepers have gotten into a slide tackle and gotten a bruise like this based on a contusion. And you also have some change in function, right? So your body doesn't react normally like it would if you didn't get hit there. Okay, so you might have a limp, you might feel some kind of pain, right? You can't activate that muscle, can't move your arm, any of that stuff. So some general care, right? Again, rest and protect. So some padding, as you see this athletic trainer wrapping this person's leg. Chances are this person probably got a knee in the thigh, right? So they put some wrapping to support that muscle. Some ice to relieve the pain only, right? 0 to 2 times a day for 15 minutes to 20 minutes, depending on the area. Bike, okay, this is gonna be different, okay? We've always been told ice, 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 right? But with contusion, right, if you think about it, what we talked about right here, right? The muscle spasms and it entraps blood, right? It's stuck in this position, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to bike or do some kind of movement, right? To promote blood flow through temperature. We want to get the body warm, and we want to allow the blood to circulate, kind of like how we would do with warm-ups, right, at the beginning of a game, right? If you go into a game cold, you're not going to be able to perform as well, right? You're not going to be as flexible. You're not going to be as fast. You're not going to be as powerful, right? But with a bike, right, same thing. It's the same thing as going to a warm-up, right? The body begins to get warm and it circulates some blood flow and allows the tissues to be more elastic, right? And now we have some opening within the muscles to allow that blood to go through, right? And the more blood that we goes through, right, more nutrients goes through, right? And we can flush out that area. And lastly, stretching, right? Don't stretch until it hurts. Just do gradual stretching. So if you're doing a flamingo after you're getting hit in the thigh, right, just go as far as your body allows it to, and then as you get better at it, maybe go a little bit further on pulling that leg back if you're doing the flamingo. Okay. And then some other key things for ensuring that you are preventing injuries, right? Nutrition is important. This is going to be important because you want to eat enough according to activity because it's fuel, right? Mom and dad doesn't leave the house without an empty gas tank, right? Because they know if they go on with an empty gas tank, that car is going to stop and you're going to have to push that car, right? It's the same thing with your body. If your body doesn't have fuel, right? If you don't eat prior to practice, prior to games, right? You're not going to have the energy to sustain yourself and perform at your optimal best. Okay. Also, you want to build good habits. Have a healthy relationship with food, right? Don't think that any food is a bad food, right? Obviously, you want to limit some quote unquote bad foods, right? But just have a healthy relationship. It's okay to maybe sometimes have a starburst, right? A starburst. But more importantly, we want to make sure that we're consuming healthy foods, right? And some of the things that you can look at is at the food pyramid, right? To kind of guide you as far as what's healthy and what's not, and what do you want to eat the most, and what do you want to eat the least of, okay? So right here, I'll also have Jeff write this out for you guys, but choosemyplate.gov is a good resource for you guys to read if you want to get more information on food. Okay, I'm going to go through this website, but just understand vegetables, whole wheat food is probably best for you. Move on into maybe your proteins, right? There's people who are lactose intolerant, so they might need to choose different types of proteins, right? Some chicken or maybe steak or maybe fish, stuff that might support what your guys' diet looks like. And last thing that we're going to talk about is hydration. Okay. Hydration plays a big role in performance and recovery. Okay. Again, if your body was a car, right, we would want good, clean, fluid engine oil to go through your car, right, in order to get the pistons going. But if you had sludge running around the car, right, that would be a bad thing. That's the same thing with your body, right? If you think of your blood, right, or if you think the way your body functions, we want to make sure that our tissues have good fluid versus something sludgy going through our body. Okay, so drinking water makes that happen. Okay, so first thing is you want to monitor your hydration levels. How do you do that? You want to look at your pee. Okay, your urine must be light yellow tinted. All right, so number 2 right here where it says optimal hydration, this is what your pee should look like. And that's how you know that you're hydrated, okay? Dark colored, as you see, is number 5, maybe number 4. If your pee looks this colorful, right, you are dehydrated and you need to drink more water, okay? So that's something good to look at, especially during the summer where it's hot. That means you're more likely to be hydrated. You know, when you go to the restroom, look at the color of your pee, and that's going to tell you where you're at as far as your hydration levels go. Okay, and there's also such thing as too hydrated. Okay, so if your pee looks really white and you have to go frequently on a constant basis, okay, then you are too hydrated and maybe you want to lay off the water a little bit more. Okay, so again, this is a good test to see where you're at. So how much water to take? So if you have a piece of paper, If you want to screenshot this screen right here, this is a perfectly good guide. But how much water should you drink a day? Okay, so if you think about this, the minimum amount of water you should drink is, think about your age and divide it by 2. I'm sorry. This is the wrong thing, sorry. So it's not age, it's weight. So you're gonna see me doing a weight. That was my mistake. So you want to get your weight and you want to divide it by 2, okay? So me, let's say I weigh 200 pounds, okay? We're gonna keep it simple. If I weigh 200 pounds and if I divide that by 2, I want to drink 100 fluid ounces of water, okay? So if you look at this Gatorade bottle, right? Everybody knows what this Gatorade bottle looks like, right? Everybody knows. It is 32 ounces, okay? So if you multiply 32 ounces by a certain number until you get either 100 or more, right? That's how many bottles you need, right? So if you do your math correctly, this water bottle by me should have been emptied 4 times by the end of the day, okay? If you have a hydro flask of a certain brand, right, or certain size, right, that's also a good way to measure. So you want to maybe look at the bottom where you see a number and then ounces, and that's how you keep track of things. The maximum water you should be drinking in a day should be based on your weight, right? So again, if I weigh 200 pounds and I have 2 games in one day, I want to make sure I drink 200 fluid ounces of water, okay, per day, by the end of the day, okay? So again, don't overdo it, but don't underdo it. Just make sure that you're paying attention, be conscious of how much you're drinking in, okay? So other than that, I am open for questions. Someone
had a question earlier about the sprain of the fingers. How should, as a goalkeeper, should they tape the 2 fingers together, try to put in the glove, or is it better to splint it?
So with the fingers of the tape, so normally, for me personally as a goalkeeper, I like to only tape 1 finger. So you tape the skin, and then you put your gloves on, okay? I've also seen people do the 2 fingers. That's what we call buddy tape. Again, remember 2 fingers, you put them together, that's buddy tape. So what happens is you put your glove on first and then you buddy tape it, but what happens is now that tape, it gets in the way of the grip of your glove, and now it doesn't really become too effective, okay? So what I like to do, for me personally as a goalkeeper, is I like to tape the fingers first, just 1, no buddy tape, and then I slide my glove in, and you're good in that way.
Perfect. So that would be a good time, like if maybe the goalkeepers that have the finger saves, that they could take them out, that if that finger was sprained or broke, then they would put that one back in, and that would create almost that same kind of stability.
Exactly. And I personally don't like the finger saves for training purposes. So if you have finger saves in your gloves, and let's say your fingers are a little bit on the weaker side, if you're going through an injury, slide those finger saves in. But if you're not injured, for me personally, I don't think it's good to have finger saves, just because it can cause other complications when you train and you're trying to catch balls.
Yes, agreed. Anybody else have any questions? So you could either unmute yourself and ask, or you could write it.
Other question that I see here is, what if you put your buddy tape first and then put on your gloves? Well, if you put on your buddy tape first, then you slide on your gloves. Remember, each glove has its individual fingers, so it might not be able to fit through. So that could be a problem. Other stuff is, when can you start non-contact training after an ACL reconstruction? That varies person to person. You're going to have to talk to your doctor, physical therapist, athletic trainer, whoever is working with you to guide that knee problem. so that depends on what they have to say where you're at with your ACL reconstruction. Again, that varies person to person, depending on your rehabilitation. So definitely have a conversation with your doctor and your physical therapist or your athletic trainer as far as where you're at with your recovery. Are cracking knuckles bad? If you ask your parents, they say yes. They're not bad personally, they're not bad as long as you're not doing it frequently. Okay, so if you're cracking your knuckles every 5 minutes, every hour, that's probably a little too much. If you probably crack your knuckles maybe once a day, twice a day, you're okay.
What is cracking your knuckles? What is it actually doing?
So when you crack your knuckles, what's happening is, so in your joint, right? If you look at this this picture right here, right? So what your fingers does is your ligaments cover a joint capsule. So it's kind of like your fingers have like this capsule, right? And it's around and it keeps the fluid inside. So if you crack that joint, right? Let's say you sprain your finger again, right? Blunt force trauma. That capsule can rupture open, and that's when swelling happens. Okay, so it's kind of like a balloon, right? If you rupture a balloon with the knife or a scissor, right? The water balloon will rupture, and then the water comes out, and all of a sudden you have swelling, right? But what cracking knuckles does is when you crack knuckles, all it does is it relieves the pressure. So you have some gas bubbles within that water. It releases some gas pressure and you have less tension. That's why it feels so good to crack knuckles or any other kind of joint. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but overdoing it too much can be problematic. So Dimitri asked, I sprained my ankle pretty bad a year ago and my trainer said it would take 9 months to recover, but they don't know but they didn't know what I should do. So ankles can be problematic sometimes. I don't necessarily say that it could take 9 months. It just depends on how much work you put in to getting recovered, right? So if you only go to the athletic training room once a week or once every 2 weeks, then it could take up to 9 months. But if you're in there every single day putting in the work, you will come back sooner than they expect you to. But most importantly, that again, every rehab is different. Sometimes it's just a matter of strengthening the ankles. One of my favorite ankle strengthening exercises that I have all my athletes at Cal Poly do, whoever sprains their ankles, is I normally have them do the ABCs. So what I told them to do is just sit long seated, right, with your knees extended, your legs hanging off the bed. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to trace the ABCs with your feet, right, all A all the way to Z, and that should give you a good burn, right? And the better you get at it, you do the ABCs again, right? With my college athletes, especially soccer players who are very prone to ankle sprains, but they cannot miss any time, I normally tell them start off with 3 sets of ABCs, and then we'll progress from there. Another cool thing too with the ankles is balancing exercises, right? Get on one leg, keep your knees straight, close your eyes, and then all what you do is you get a soccer ball, pass a soccer ball, move it one way, soccer ball, move it the other way, and that balance exercise is going to be pretty challenging. They didn't recover, but so Dimitri said they didn't recover, but yet, so for his ankle, but he does go every day. There could probably be a different problem with it. Again, that's a conversation that you have to have with your athletic trainer. Just express your goals. Tell them you do want to get back, you do want to feel functional, but you still feel like there's some kind of injury there. So have that conversation. And then when you guys sit down, he'll be able, or she will be able to give you more insight as far as what to expect. Or maybe sometimes it's a matter of going to a doctor and seeing what actually is happening inside of your ankle. So that might be an x-ray, that might be an MRI, but that's a conversation you have to have with an athletic trainer to give you some good guidelines on what you need to do next.
That's why it's so important you guys are doing when we say the rehab. those little exercises. And if you aren't able to have an athletic trainer because you're not in high school, or if you just don't have one at the high school that you could talk to, then you really should make sure if you go to the doctor, try to get in some type of athletic training or physical therapy, just so at least you could gain the equipment that they might give you, or the exercises that they will give you, because the recoveries it'll be like yours, very long, because possibly it wasn't rehab correctly. You know, it's you're messing up something where the muscle memory has to come back. So the ankles are very, very important for us, because, you know, as any of us that know that have messed up our ankles, you know, you get to the point where you could be walking one day and your ankle just falls off and turns, and you twist it just a little bit again, because again, eventually, the more and more we sprain it, the connections don't trigger correctly, and if we don't rehab to connect those muscle memories, then obviously our ankle all of a sudden just drops off, and we turn it again. And now when we're running in grass and there's little divots or holes, you're definitely going to hit it. And when we're jumping in the air and someone pushes us and we don't hit it right where it should, is our brain telling that muscle to contract that quick so it could take our weight. And if we haven't rehabbed that, our brain has not understood to tell the muscle to contract, and now once again, you're going to turn your ankle, and it's going to be a constant. So if you're still having problems that long, that definitely has to be deeper, right, than a sprain.
Yeah. And again, it could be a big sprain. It could be a small, it could be something that the athletic trainer probably isn't seeing. But again, that's when we have to have that conversation with our physical therapist or athletic trainer, to give us that good guidance. But yeah, Jeff, the way Jeff has said, right on point, right? If you don't go in rehab, you don't go and treat that, right? And let's say all we want to do is just rest for about a week or 2 weeks, or for whatever we decide, and not do anything about it. All you're doing is keeping that injury in that same state and putting it at risk of re-injury, right? So we have to strengthen it in some way, right? So doing rehab is really, really important. Okay. Again, when it comes to athletic performance and athletic and rehab and recovery, it's the thing that you guys need to do is really simple, right? Is move often, right? Make sure your nutrition is on point and you're sleeping. Okay. If you get these 3 basic things, you know, stuff that we should be doing as humans, right? Where our performance and our recovery is going to be right on point every single time, right? So again, it doesn't need to get fancy, but just as long as we're doing the simple things, we'll be okay. Other than that, that's all I got. Jeff, I'll pass it back on to you.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, if nobody else has any questions, then it's been a while. We've been almost 9 in California. So those of you that are in different states, I'm sure it's 10:30, 11. So thank you guys for staying on. And if anybody does have any questions and wants to stay on and ask, then we'll stay on for a couple more minutes. Everybody else, thank you guys. Good night. And see you guys next time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, G.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I think that's everybody. Well, there's a few. Do they have questions, or they just didn't get out of here? I think they just haven't clicked out. Yeah, that's all. I think Victoria just has to click out. Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Is Madison, are you there, or are you?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. All right, so I'll text you guys and we'll talk.
All right, sounds
But
good.
thank you so much. It went well. That was that little hiccup that happened to me that very first time. That's the thing about the Zoom, that if there's options that if you don't turn them off, then yeah, the kids could like take over the screen. They write on the screen. That's for the first one I did. I didn't know about that, and yeah, I had people like taking over. I couldn't do anything. It froze, and then all of a sudden they were writing stuff all over it. And then I figured it out. But I guess the second one I did, I had a lot of kids say that, hey, teachers are having the same issues. How did you fix it? Because yeah, the teachers have no clue either. Because it's you really have to go into all the settings, and there's all these different settings of not allowing people to share screens or not allowing people to, like, even like there's a part I put it on yours, Albert, right now, where if you're talking, then you have to highlight that so that it's always on you, or else anytime somebody else talks, it'll shift the screen over to the people. So if people have they're not unmuted, or if they're muted or not unmuted, then all of a sudden if the teacher was trying to talk and you're trying to listen to them or look at them, someone makes a noise in the background, it switches and it's like a mess. So it's like this thing was like a huge learning tool. But
yeah, I mean it's I can see where the writing part was it can be a pretty good teaching tool, but when you're trying to present, it can be a little bit of a hassle. It's the first time I ever saw that.
it is. Well, it's I feel sorry for the teachers because they probably had no idea. And but I'm sure no one told them. They just said, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, thank you guys so much. I'll
Jeff.
contact you offline so we could discuss.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach
you.
Jeff.
I appreciate
it.
All right.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.